Hello, everyone. My name is Tim B. Green, and this is Crush It Club 44. That's 44 videos in 44 days. So this is a book review of Daniel Pink's The Power of Regret. Now, it's interesting that we think of regret in this kind of a sense, that regret is somehow a fundamentally negative thing that's irreversible. Now, Pink talks about two kinds of regrets, open door and closed door. There are things that we can't do after the fact. If somebody we love has passed away and we never reconnected, or we didn't resolve something, and the ability to go back, I'm 54, it's unlikely they'd let me retake high school or go back, I suppose, to university if I wanted to, and do my calculus homework that I should have done, which would have made me a mechanical engineer for the last probably 30 years, but I didn't. So some things are closed. You can't do anything about those, and you might feel that way, but it doesn't do you any good to feel that way. So open regrets are regrets you can still change something about. But I'm going to go back to the top of my little notes here. I don't know why. There we go. And so this is going to be a quick and dirty book review. By the way, I love this book. I highly recommend it. It is my favorite of Daniel Pink's books, and I believe I have read or listened to them all. My now second favorite would be Drive by Daniel Pink. So he talks about 4 core regrets, and this is fundamental because these are the regrets that he would argue matter the most and that are the most common in the extensive research both he did in his surveys and the background research around this topic and similar things that he cites in the book. And that is foundation regrets, which is about stability, money, security, health, the things that make you feel safe, the basic organic food, clothing, shelter kind of stuff. Boldness regrets, and that was if only I'd taken the chance. That's what I'm doing with starting my consulting practice. I'm taking the chance. It's headed in the direction of success. I am certainly not in any way financially independent from it yet, but it's headed in the right direction. He also talks about how more people actually regret far more not taking chances than taking chances. Because what tends to happen is if you take a chance, then you have a resolution either way. You either succeed or you fail. It becomes a wonderful life with that person you talk to, or it does not, but you had a resolution either way. Regrets from not being bold have never been resolved, and that people tend to regret that more than taking the risk and taking that leap of faith. So then there's moral regrets, and that is violating your moral code. So for me, for example, religion is not part of my moral code. A belief in God is not part of my moral code. I don't feel bad that I don't pray because I don't think there's anything to pray to. That's not to say that that isn't different for somebody else. Obviously it is. But lying, being dishonest, being unethical does violate my moral code, which is why I have chosen to change my career where I believe I can give education to people, help people meaningfully with education instead of making it a business model where it's all about the money and not at all about the education. So there's an example. A lot of people have moral regrets around infidelity and other things which they knew was wrong for them, violated their morals. That sucks. But you reap what you sow in terms of when you choose to do something. They talked about people who decades later regretted being a bully to somebody. So there's an example. And the last kind of regret is a connection regret. And why this is so significant to me is inspired by this book. Obviously, or maybe not obviously, connection regrets are losing touch with people from a long time ago. Well, I had thought about doing this multiple times and never actually pulled the trigger for no good reason. And what I love about his argument about connection regrets and reaching out to people you haven't spoken to in decades in this case, 3 to 3.5 decades, 2 different people, and at least one more coming, that you may feel awkward about it. But flip that script and ask yourself, how would you feel if a friend from 30 or 35 years ago suddenly called you or messaged you online? If you think you would feel okay or happy to hear from them, and that was my answer and probably most people's answer, then pull the trigger and do it. I did it, and I talked to 2 people I hadn't talked to in over 30 years. I was happy to hear that they were both happy and that their lives, though not perfect, just like mine, that number one, that they were happy, that they were liked where they were in their life, and that they were okay. Everything was fine, no major health things or anything. So it was actually an awesome experience. So don't have connection regrets if it's not a closed door regret where it's too late. Act on it. So now the second part of this I want to talk about is the 3 steps to benefit from regret. So he talks about 3 things. He talks about self-disclosure. Now that could be writing it in a journal or sharing it with another person, whether it's a therapist, which I honestly do not recommend, or you share it with somebody you trust. But I would argue you could do this cognitively and just reflect on it consciously, be mindful and self-aware, and internally self-disclose is the first step. The second step is self-compassion. That is, if your best friend, if your loved one, your husband, your wife, somebody you deeply care about, came to you with this regret, that you show yourself the same kind of passion, or so the same kind of compassion you would show them. And I've had this for a long time. I've been pretty good at self-compassion, mostly around exercise and training. It's like, I don't pretend I didn't eat bad food. I don't pretend that there was some real excuse and I was too busy to exercise for 2 months. I own it. I forgive myself for it, and I get back out there and start exercising again. That self-compassion that I've practiced in my training has allowed me to exercise most of the time for most of the last 40 years. So I can attest to that one personally. And then this last one is interesting because it loops back to something I just said, and that's called self-distancing. And this is when Tim talks about how he is striving to do 365 videos in 365 days. And though he finds it to be a challenge, he's confident he can do it. However, he will practice self-compassion if for some reason beyond his control, he's incapable of doing so. Of course, I'm Tim. So by using third-person pronouns, you can personally distance yourself away from other people or as a different person, and it allows you to get a better perspective on things, oftentimes a kinder perspective on things. And then the idea is, okay, Tim, what did you learn from this experience, this regret? And then you can reflect on it. To me, again, I would call that mindfulness, to learn from it and not make those mistakes in the future, right? So regret is instructive in terms of, if we consistently regret things in the past that we've done, we know that in the moment, or even projecting into the future, that if we do them again, we'll likely regret them. And now we're equipped to make the choice to not do them. So the other thing there is, again, just imagine yourself, somebody comes to you and seeks your advice. Somebody you really care about seeks your advice about that same thing. What advice would you give them? That's the advice you yourself could then take. And I've spontaneously done that myself. But I think it's not as powerful, honestly, as, in addition to doing self-disclosure, and this is mine, is seek outside feedback, seek outside advice from real other people, because you could never get away from the curse of knowledge. That is, you can't not know what you know. And as a final point here, I'm going to talk about, if you have to choose between satisficing and maximizing, If it's one of the 4 core regrets, choose maximizing. If it's not one of the 4 core regrets, satisfice, that is, settle. You don't have to obsess over the daily things that tends to make people sad and upset and depressed. But when it comes to the 4 core regrets, it's better to maximize, put in the extra effort, and deliberate over those important things that you may regret in the future if you don't do that. My name is Tim B. Green. This has been Crush It Club, episode 44, book review, The Power of Regret. Bye for now.